Got a crank start on it now? What?
Cranking it up, get it started.
He always says to hit it, make sure I see the flames go up. That's how you know it's actually working.
So we're on the air.
We are on.
Good evening, Washington Courthouse. It is 7:30 PM on January 11th, 2023. Time for our first regular meeting of this month and of the year. So at this time, Mr. Hawk will offer an invocation, and Mrs. Ford's gonna lead us in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, I thank you this evening for the opportunity of living in this town. I thank you for the many blessings that we receive here. I thank you for the good life that we live, and I just pray that you'd be with us this evening as we deliberate on issues of the town. I don't think we have very many, but I just thank you, Father, that you are with us and that you help us when we need you and when we ask for your help. And I just pray that you would be with each person on this panel as we go through this next year, that things would work out well for us. I thank you for the things that are coming for us, and I pray that you'd help us to make the best use of everything that you send our way. And I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ted and Kelly. You remembered how to start us, Kelly. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Chrisman.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Hernandez. Johnson.
Here.
Schultz.
Pick one.
Lynch.
Here. We need to excuse.
I move to excuse Kendra Hernandez.
I'll second that.
Yes, she has back issues and so on, and that's why she's not here. She called me yesterday. We need a vote to excuse. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. All right. As you all remember, we ran our 3 meetings together there, and so we have several minutes to approve this evening. But Mr. Blair and I were discussing, it was nice having almost a month off over Christmas time, so it worked out pretty well. Anyway, first is the regular council meeting of December 14th. Anybody see anything that needed to be changed, altered, corrected in those minutes?
Well, I don't see anything, but I will move that we approve these minutes of the meeting of 12/14/2022.
I'll second that.
All righty. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Next is the regular meeting of December 15th, 2022. Anybody see any corrections there? If not, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make that a motion that we accept them.
Second.
Ted, okay. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. And finally, our special meeting that we held on December 16th, 2022. Any questions or changes there?
Go on, Caleb.
I wasn't there, so I won't make
okay.
the motion.
Abstaining, okay. Well, then I'll move that we approve these minutes from 12/16.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Denon, do we have communication?
None.
And we have no reports of council committees, because we didn't meet in December. So that brings us to the city manager's report.
Thank you. Would like to thank Street, Water, Fire, and Police for their work during the cold weather experienced at Christmas that caused a number of issues with the water system and some challenges that we had there. Main break seriously drained the system, but due to the efforts of Lance and the water crew in Street, we were able to function without a major catastrophe. But that was an example of all the departments pulling together. It made for a rather long holiday weekend, but all worked well. We are working on returning to a fixed rate for natural gas for next winter. Natural gas fixed rates for next winter have dropped quite a bit. So probably sometime, I would think next week, I'll be able to tell you that we've been able to secure a fixed rate for next winter and be able to tell you what that is. But we are looking at that opportunity in the market, and hopefully we'll be able to capitalize on that and take care of that. This year we'll see a healthy paving effort in committee. We talked about the work that'll occur on Court Street into the Court Street Railroad Crossing and many of the side streets in the downtown area. The Court Street project is a cooperative project with ODOT. The side streets will be our paving effort, and we really look forward to that. And then we'll talk to you about in the future going down what other cooperative projects we'll have with ODOT in the next couple of years. But we're very happy about that, and we think that'll be a major improvement to the community. You'll have a nice, decent surface to drive on that we all use. I have to almost in Washington Courthouse. And also you'll switch out the pavement markings to plastic, which just, they look better, they last a lot longer, and we've had very good success with those. Some of the projects we've talked about this year's budget before, some of the other projects that didn't necessarily get a whole lot of a highlight, we'll be doing work to the mausoleum and the Judy Chapel and the cemetery on the interior of those, just maintaining those and improving their aesthetic qualities. We invest a fair amount of money in technology to make everything like putting the council meetings on YouTube continue to work. Fire and Police largely focuses on personal safety equipment, really. We also in committee talked about the very nice grant, and we're incredibly appreciative to the state of Ohio that will allow us to hire an additional police officer and provide an incentive retention bonus in police. Trail, that is still a project that we will march along with in the coming year. Hydrant painting sounds pretty mundane, and it's not the most exciting thing in the world. In fact, it seems kind of odd to list it as a project because you think of a fire hydrant as something you just see. They're incredibly expensive, so you want to keep them painted, keep them in operation to extend their lifespan. And actually, there's more than 700 of them now. So when you talk about painting fire hydrants, that's not a small deal. But certainly 700, we'll go through all those. And that process we've, semi-automated now. Used to be, you scraped on those things with a metal scraper, and whoever got that job did a wonderful job. The first 25 fire hydrants they did that to. And after that, it really went downhill. So there is an attachment that we have for the Bobcat. It basically wire brushes, spins around, strips all that old paint off there so that we can then paint a decent surface, and it lasts for a few years. We'll be doing improvements to the wastewater collection system, which that always thrills everybody. The lift station controls out on Carolyn Road and the other improvements that allows sewage to continue to flow, which isn't something anybody thinks about until it doesn't. Water distribution improvements, we'll be painting a water tower. We continue to look at the water distribution system to ensure that that is functional for the long-term health of the community. I'll be doing, believe it or not, the police and fire building's been there long enough. It's time to recoat the roof. HVAC in the city building, we're quite comfortable tonight. But in particular, the AC system in this building is getting aged, and we'll be looking at a replacement for that so that we don't run into some of the problems we've run into in the past, because in a building, especially on the first floor where you can't open any of the windows, it gets warm. Municipal court also has some remodeling projects over there that they will undertake. And that is the less well-known projects for next year. And that is my report for tonight, and I hope you folks have a great evening.
Joe, somebody asked me fairly recently if we would be putting hydrants out toward Lakewood Hills, and I said I didn't know.
No, that county, the size main that they put in there, it really kind of surprised me, but it is not sized for fire protection. It is only sized to supply them with water. And if you wanted to put hydrants on it, you'd almost have to put another line up there.
I think I mentioned to him it probably was up to the county. because it-
Yeah,
they
the
were
county
running the
paid
bond.
for that. That was their project, and they did not size that for fire protection. That would be
I
quite
thought
difficult.
when land along the road, it looked kind of small.
Yeah, I would have thought, but it's cost issue and it's their project and it was their decision. I would have put in a bigger main, but that's me.
Any other questions?
They put in plastic too, if I think, out there, didn't
Looked like it to me.
they? Yeah, and plastic is a wonderful product for many things, but not for water lines, in my personal opinion. But
Like anything else, it's fine as long as it's good, then it isn't.
yeah, and you know, we put in ductile iron, which is, I don't know why they always call it it's steel. Which a steel main will rust, but it's incredibly durable, and you don't have to worry about that the plastic main that they say is safe today, 20 years down the road, they'll decide that it leaches some chemical into the water, and that's why we don't use it.
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Denon. Our Director of Finance is not here, but the city attorney is.
Oh, yes. I don't have any report, Mr. Chairman.
Terrible way to start the year.
Oh, I know.
I'm gonna tell my wife tonight too.
Please don't.
Well, we have no one signed up to speak as local residents and taxpayers. I can't, maybe so, but in all the years, Mr. Chrisman, you've been on longer than I have, I don't remember any meetings where we didn't have legislation of any kind. What's wrong with you, Mr. Denon? What's going on?
It's happened once or twice before.
Has it?
Not very
I
often.
didn't remember,
If
but
it's
anyway.
happened, I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Been never there.
of course,
Well,
we
you-
dealt with a lot right before
Yeah.
the Christmas time, but
And you had that extra meeting to clean everything up, so that
Right.
kind of affected what we.
anyway, we have no legislation, so that brings us to miscellaneous. I think I'll start tonight with the Cleveland Browns fan next to, oh, wait a minute. That doesn't say Browns, does it? What have you got, Mr. Bengal, what have you got?
Well, after that, I'm going to continue the tradition tonight of no legislation. I have no comment, sir.
Except go Bengals.
Go Bengals.
There you
Yeah,
go.
There you go.
Mr. Hawk, what have you got?
Well, I think, every time we make a new law, we gotta take an old one off the books. So, at least this is a compromise where we're not putting any new ones on. But,
Yeah, it's not, kinda like, we're not cutting the budget, we're just not adding to it.
right,
Okay.
that's all.
Mr. Chrisman?
Kind of a belated Happy New Year to everybody. Hope your health stays good. It's still flu season and COVID coming back, so, I guess that's about enough.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, what do you have?
Well, Happy New Year to everyone as well. Thank you for being here. Speaking of being, some bee keeping, some chicken keeping, and
jeez.
stuff might be happening in the city. I think overall it would be a positive thing, as long as, you know, they're kept in the right conditions, I think that's like any animal. They'll become a nuisance if you don't keep it in the right conditions, and if you just let your dog wander around throughout the neighborhood, no one likes that, and no one wants chickens doing the same thing. But well-kept dogs and well-kept chickens are going to be good for the city, I think. So there it is. That's it, Mr.
Now,
Chairman.
where are you living and we want to put a sanctuary out in your area?
Not a sanctuary, just as long as it's not an
So you got a
Airbnb,
bunch
sir.
of chickens.
As long as it's not an Airbnb, sir.
Personally, I recommend one a few houses down here on Main Street. Chickens would be very good there. What do you
Alicia
think,
says
Mr.
no.
Lipstick? Is that all right?
I think that's all right.
Okay, Stephen, what do you got?
I don't know if I can follow that foul
Follow that.
report or not, but, you know, I was gonna thank all the departments also for the work they did during the very bad weather we had. But, you know, our fire chief did probably the best job here in the paper when he said, well, first of all, we had a water leak that he says that no one knew anything about it because the community worked together and all the departments worked together, and no one even knew there was a water leak going on in the city during all that bad weather, which he's right. Then he said everyone involved, the water department, police department, fire department, worked really well together, solving all the problems and getting things done that needed to be done. So he said it right in the paper. If you read this article, we don't have to say any more, but thank all departments. It was a very difficult time. I mean, from the fire department, police department, service department, everybody, even the meter readers were out there. I know my son was called out, 14 times, I think, in a day and a half, day and night out there. And when he got there, the fire department was already there, or the police department was there, or the service department was already there. So, I mean, these guys were out in sub-zero weather. So that, we want to thank them all and appreciate that. And I hope 2023 turns out to be a very good year, and I look forward to 2023 and the challenges we meet with the city. Thank you very much.
Personally, I give the credit to the assistant fire chief because he's here and the other one's sitting
They
there.
also. Jody, you were probably the one that backed him on this report, I'm sure.
He wasn't even in town, was he? Was he gone?
No.
And neither was I, actually.
Oh, I was gonna give you credit, you were gone.
Man, it's hard to give credit to people.
Is that all, Mr. Sherman?
Yeah, that's all, good.
Well, I got a card, I don't know if everybody got one of these or not, I did.
Oh, you're special.
As chair, I guess, but it was a New Year's card. And it says, "Thank you for your support and partnership. With helpful, heartfelt gratitude. We wish you a healthy and prosperous New Year's." And this is from Sugar Creek and Wingate and all those people. And I got to thinking, you know, in 2022, I guess the biggest news thing around here was Honda coming in. But we don't ever want to forget about the companies that are already here and have been providing jobs and income to not only individuals but the city. And so this card reminded me that we need to be grateful to the current companies too. It's nice that Honda's coming in and all that, but we have some companies here that are very important too. I got out, you remember last year about this time, we sat down and we made up some plans, goals, and dreams. Okay? And I got this out and looked at it, and I highlighted some of the things we've done. I suggest you get yours out too, because everybody got one of these. And we did make some accomplishments. There's a lot of other things to do. And I just mentioned this one. We had talked about upgrading the city building lobby in front, and maybe after we get the air conditioning fixed and so on, we can start thinking about things like that. But anyway, it was kind of interesting to look at this. I'm gonna sit down with Mr. Denon tomorrow even and talk to him a little more about that and some other things. He's already listed some of the things on there that we're going to do. Then, I'm making this longer, aren't I? What happened at the Bengals-Bills game, now a couple weeks ago, reminded me, and I guess things bring back memories. Tomorrow, the 12th, is the 21st anniversary, I guess you would say, of the heart attack that I had. And I was reminded as they were doing CPR and using a defibrillator on that young man, that's exactly what they had to do to me. 4 times they used a defibrillator. And so I'm thinking about that because of that incident and because tomorrow is the anniversary of that for me. I've never heard discussed on news programs or sports programs so much about prayer. And I remember being told, obviously I did not know this, there was a Miami Trace Washington Courthouse basketball game going on the night that I had my heart attack. It was a Saturday. And I remember people telling me later that there was a group of people that got together during that game when they heard about my heart attack and prayed for me. And I also remember hearing that I was really lucky that I was at the hospital when my heart stopped beating, because they could obviously start dealing with that situation immediately. Now, one of the main fears, as they talked about, was what damage is caused to your other organs and your brain. Now, some might think that I had a lot of damage to my brain, but they got my heart started quickly enough, thanks to the defibrillator, that I don't think there was too much damage to my brain. But it's interesting when things like that happen in that game, what that makes you think about if you've been through that experience. I got a couple sayings to start the new year. Never live in the past, but always learn from it. Never live in the past, but always learn from it. And Albert Einstein, that was an unknown, but Albert Einstein said, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. So let's try some new things this year. Take a shot at it and see if we can't make 2023 a great year. Okay? I think we're elected to this body to do great things for the city. And I think that's what we ought to aim to do in 2023. Thanks to everybody who came. Our friends are back. You didn't leave us in the new year. That's great. So anyway, thanks for coming and being a part of City Council. It's great that you're interested. Okay, with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh, I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
And Lynch.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Chicken